Hi, how's it going everyone? It's Victor Perez with Florida Biz Review, and I'm back with another helpful tip video. This one's going to cover how to do proper content writing, or in other words, what is good content writing. So there are plenty of uses for content. Obviously, you can have your standard home pages, your services pages, and of course a blog page. But it's really important to be able to tell what kind of work you need to do with your content, because obviously it can be very tedious to write lengthy articles, especially if you're doing blog posts where you got to do this every single week. So I'm going to show you a little bit of an example here. I have an excerpt out of one of the websites that I was working on, and I'll use this to kind of explain all the different things that you want to look out for and all the things that you want to include in your content writing. So when you're thinking of what makes good content writing, well, it depends on who's going to be reading it, because obviously if you're writing stuff for your homepage, well, that stuff has to be pretty effective, right? It might be a little bit salesy, it might be more impactful, it might have a call to action, but regardless, it's got to have a whole lot more effort into it than maybe something like a blog post where not that many people are ever going to read it. So you got to think of that first, right? That will let you decide how much effort you're going to put into it, because, I mean, at first you might think, well, let me put in a whole lot of effort into everything. Well, that can be fine, but eventually you'll realize that if you're doing a bunch of content writing, like for a blog post, there's going to come a time where you realize, well, this is really tedious, this is taking a lot of time, and you might get a little bit discouraged. But now going back to who gets to see the content. Okay, well, other than the people that land on your website, the other thing that you're trying to appeal to would be the Google algorithm. So with the algorithm, there's over 200 different things that it really tries to check for to consider it good. But think of it this way. So the goal, the efforts of the developers that mess with the algorithm, it's really just to be able to free the website or the entire internet space of spammy websites or websites that really don't have any purposeful use. So with that in mind, you just got to think of, is this undeniably good in the eyes of a Google developer? So even though you're writing a blog post, let's say, and the only reason why is because you're trying to rank for certain key terms, well, you have to be able to make it good enough to where no one is ever going to flag your site down the line just because you're trying to trick the algorithm. So a lot of stuff with SEO can be considered maybe trying to trick the algorithm, but if you do so in a meaningful way that provides quality content, undeniably quality content, then you can't ever get penalized for it. So that's the best approach to take with content writing, just because if you're thinking of the long term, then you're never going to end up with your website losing reputation because of the algorithm flagging one of your pages or backlinks. So this little piece I have, so let's start here with the amount of words. If you're not doing at least 300 words in your articles or your blog posts, the algorithm is not even going to pick it up. So first things first, make sure it's at least 300 words. I like to do at least 500 because just an easy prediction would be that in the future, the developers just kind of up the word count requirement that they would consider to be, a good, meaningful site. So that's why I like to do at least 500. So the way I kind of do it is I try to split it up into at least 3 different sections. Why? Well, because this allows me to do headings. And in the headings, you can designate that as like an H1 or H2, which is much more meaningful than having a key term just within your paragraphs. So, and don't overdo it. Don't overdo it with anything, but with the headings, just a few would be fine. I see a whole lot of posts and articles that have one heading and one key term in it. You can definitely hit that a little bit harder. of course, just don't overload your words. Don't overload your paragraphs with key terms to the point where it's breaking up the sentences and making it sound weird. Because if a code can come through and easily distinguish that you have errors in your writing, it's just going to flag you right away, and you're going to get hurt for that. So definitely make sure you're using that spell check, grammar check. Just doing that should be good for now, but obviously proofreading is pretty crucial because as time goes by, the developers and the code that they write for the algorithm is only going to get smarter and smarter. So if you're making undeniably good written content, then you're never going to get penalized in the future. So with key terms, now you want to go through, and I think the easiest way is to start by creating a nice list of key terms that you want to include into your writing. That way, if you finish your article and you're not comfortable with the amount of key terms in it, you could always just go back to your list and just kind of throw in some more key terms in there. What key terms do you include into your writing? Well, that takes a little bit of brainstorming. First, you want to brainstorm what kind of things are your clients going to type that are going to lead them to the services you're offering. Because the better you can understand your clients and how they use Google search, then the better that you can kind of connect the gaps and grab up all those people that are looking for the services that you're providing. So keep that in mind. The names of the services are very important, and if you take a look here, you can kind of get a good idea of the way that I do it. So certain words that people like to type into for Google, like modifier terms, would be like top, best, affordable, top rated, and then of course the area that you're looking for. Again, best, expert, professional, stuff like that. So let's say, okay, you're looking for a plumber. Well, let's say you're looking for a bit of a better plumber because you don't want just any plumber working on your house, right? So that's when you'll start to think, as a consumer, you'll start to think, you know, okay, well, I want a plumber that's very professional and reliable. So you type in professional plumbing business in, you know, Coral Springs, Orlando, wherever you're at. So that's the type of brainstorm process that you want to go through for you to be able to pick out all the right key terms to rank for. That pretty much gives you a good understanding of how to take on content writing. It can be really tedious, of course, and if you're doing a whole lot of blog posts, then it's easy to get discouraged, but if you put in a good amount of effort, then not only are you creating stuff that's going to last for the long term, but you're going to provide content that it's not just appealing to the algorithm, it's also appealing to, you know, whoever actually checks out your article. So, of course, with SEO, that's a good intro as to what you need to be doing with your content writing. Of course, if you're a little bit better at creative writing, you could probably go on for days as to how you can improve your articles. But if people aren't going to be reading them too much, then maybe it doesn't make too much sense to put in that much time into the writing. So that's up to you to decide. If you have a business, then, you know, as the business owner, that's up to you. But that gives you a little bit of a better understanding, because if you are already writing content for your site, maybe you can now go back, edit it, add some headings, add some key terms, and just kind of mess around with it so that you can start improving your ranking. But that pretty much does it for this video. If you have any questions, definitely let me know in the comments or send me a private message. But I appreciate you watching my channel. Definitely hit subscribe if you want to get some more helpful tips. But thank you so much, and good luck with those websites out there.